Just get a feel of what our guests in the studio think about, the significance of this day. Let me begin with Katch Ononujo. Welcome to Daybreak today.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So let's have a sense of, your thoughts about, today being Armed Forces Remembrance Day.
Well, it's a good day. It's a day for us to remember the armed forces and to also to see how they have impacted lives in Nigeria. So far, the armed forces have failed Nigerians. Their coming into politics set the country aback. Even now, previously they were very well known to go to places like Sierra Leone to bring peace, Liberia to bring peace. Today in Nigeria, the Nigerian army has failed so much. We now have a crossover of the Malian bandits harassing, killing Nigerians everywhere, and the army, instead of acting as Nigerian army, no, the army is missing. All the lies from General Buratai and co. Where did he leave us today? The army is a mess, and they cannot defend Nigeria's integrity. You don't need to swear your oath to the president. You swear your oath to the Constitution.
But the president is the commander-in-chief,
No, the presidents come and go. You swear the oath to the Constitution, not to the president. And then if the president, like in this case, does not want you to attack and deal with terrorists who kill, kidnap soldiers, you stand there. And did you hear what happened yesterday? They shot into the Army University.
But the armed forces has to be loyal to the president.
No, the armed forces has to be loyal to the country, not to the president.
In doing that to the country, the president occupies an office.
Commander-in-chief. What he does is commands. The presidency in a democracy is a function of election. Every 4 years, a new man comes there. The presidency, listen, take about America, when the Joint Chief Chairman was saying that they are loyal to the Constitution, not to President Trump. That's what should have happened here.
How does the military become loyal to the Constitution without being loyal to the office of the president?
No. You're loyal to the Constitution when you're loyal to the country. The president is the politician, and like we've seen in this case, he's allowed his
office is a constitutional office. It's
what I'm telling you, in the army,
the Constitution.
I am a product of the army. Okay? I grew as a child in the barracks. And I know what that says. No matter who comes, that's why he said, soldiers come, soldiers go, the barrack remains. Politicians come and go, the army remains. The army should swear their allegiance to the Constitution, not to a president, not to a politician.
So the thing is, what we're talking about is we're not talking about the particular individual occupying the seat. We're talking about the seat itself.
Exactly, it is a seat. And when that seat makes mistake, that you see politicians misadvising the seat, you don't listen to the politicians. You stay fixated on the Constitution.
Isn't this what brought us to where we found ourselves many decades ago?
Today,
talking about the military junta in 1966.
It's wrong. President Buhari is not patriotically available to embrace Nigeria. The army should have left him and the politicians and protected the army. Never allow soldiers to be killed, and who kills them go away free. Today we hear the military aircrafts are shut down in Zamfara. The army does nothing. We hear soldiers are killed in Jaji, abducted. The military does nothing. Why? You allow politicians to deceive you. You should swear your oath to the Constitution. I hope the army listens to this and understand.
Okay,
the oath should be to the Constitution, not to the politician.
Okay, let's get perspectives from Mainasara Umar, who being a senior lawyer, you're here in the studio. The role of the military in a democratic setting. Isn't it this conversation that we've been having for decades? Where does the military stay, or what is the role really in a democratic setting like this one?
Well, constitutionally speaking, sections 217 to 219, establishes the armed forces for the Federation of Nigeria. Section 212 to 214 up to 216 clearly says that the responsibility for maintenance of territorial integrity of Nigeria lies with the Nigerian police, in tandem with Section 153, subsection K, L, and M. Now, under this, Sections 217 and 218 down to 219 says, where the police is overstretched and is unable to discharge the responsibility of securing the national internal security, the military or the armed forces who are having the responsibility of securing the territorial borders and where there is war in the country. This is in tandem with CAF 20, the Armed Forces Act, Law of the Federation of Nigeria, 2001. Now, where you have this, it is then they are coming to complement the police in order to save the nation. Talking about the Armed Forces Day, I think it is important we straighten the records. Armed Forces Day is a day of, like kola nut with 3 words. The first one is that today we are celebrating those Africans, those people that were repatriated from their countries to the war field during the First World War. During the First World War, 1914, it ended 1919. Those people from these different parts, especially the black countries, constituted greater number of the First World War. Now, on the 11th of November, 1919, a meeting was convened by the Allied forces, together with Germany then, in Berlin, and not Berlin, in France. The name of the town is Versailles in France, during which an armistice treaty was signed to end the First World War. To end the First World War, and then Germany too signed and agreed. Now thereafter, there happened to be breach of that agreement, in the sense that German soldiers were dismantled, German currency was devalued, all the territories occupied by Germany were taken away, all the sea waters of Germany were taken away, and then the Nazi forces under Adolf Hitler protested and said, we cannot take it. So as a result of which, we now saw ourselves in the Second World War, which ended in 1945. Now that particular day, 11th of November, that the Armistice Treaty was signed in Versailles in France, is the day that was agreed all over the world to be commemorated as Armistice Day. In other words, as a day to celebrate those soldiers from different parts of the world that fought for world peace. And after 1945, we now saw the emergence of the United Nations Organization. Now, when we gained independence, we were still celebrating that particular date. Until on January 15th, 1966, when the 5 majors struck, in a very bloody, the first time when guns were used in replacement of ballots to produce leaders. The first coup experience that assassinated 23 foremost top-level politicians in the country, that galvanized the country into serious confusion. Now, from that 15th of January 1966 up to 29th of July 1966, this was a period of commotion, confusion, period of hatred, period of brothers fighting themselves from within. Now, after 29th of May, we experienced another counter coup. After some period of about a week or two, we now saw the emergence of a new government headed by General Gawan. Now then Lieutenant Colonel Gawan, when he now came on board, some of the armed forces then said, no, we will not be loyal to this one, is our junior. And then the acrimony started, confusion. Some people said they would not do their leader. At the end of it, there was an attempt to have peace in Ghana by the town called Aburi, which the failure of which culminated us into Civil War that lasted for 30 months and that culminated in killing 3.4 million Nigerians uselessly. I call it uselessly because at the end of it, it was declared that there was no winner, no vanquished. So at the end of it, on the 15th day of January 1970, it formally was declared at the end of the Civil War. So when you are talking of 15th January, there are three parts of it. Number one, those people before even the independence of Nigeria that got to be taken as soldiers, colonial soldiers, to fight for world peace. We need to celebrate those people. Greater number of them are in different parts of the world that they went for the service. And the second one was January 15th, 1966 coup. Those people that participated there, what happened, we reflect on it, is the second January 15th. And the third January 15th is January 15th, 1970, when we formally ended the Civil War with a victory for national unity, with a victory for Nigeria as no winner, no vanquished. Now thereafter, military enveloped the 7-point agenda of the Govt regime of trying to reconstruct Nigeria, trying to rehabilitate those decisions. But at the end of it, that was the genesis of all the social, political, economic, security, and all the problems we are facing today. The genesis of it was January 15th, 1966, because it was January 15, 1966 that culminated into the Civil War, and it was ended in the same January 15th, 1970, and then we continued seeing a lot of progress. Even though there, when you talk about the armed forces generally, you must appreciate the fact that, number one, they contributed in the maintenance of world peace. Number two, they assisted in various places of war within the continent and outside the continent, talking about Congo, talking about Sierra Leone, talking about Liberia, talking about Guinea, talking about Gambia, talking about all these areas, and then they ended up with medals.
Let me just pause you there for a minute. Yes, we are going to go to our man, Chijioke Okafor, who is actually outside Eagle Square, and we're going to try and get an update from him on the happenings surrounding the Armed Forces Remembrance Day right here in Abuja. Chijioke, so what's the update there from the Eagle Square?
Yes, Ibrahim, I am still here. Yeah, well, like I said earlier on, the activities of the Armed Forces Remembrance Day are still going on in the Eagle Square, but we are currently in front of the Federal Ministry of Finance, just about a kilometer plus away from the Eagle Square. But one surprising thing is the fact that apart from the disgruntled feeling that most people have about these access roads being blocked, some people do not even know what the day is about. Now, that raises a lot of questions about whether or not our fallen heroes are really being revered, whether or not our fallen heroes are really being honored by the country in general.
All right. So, well, it's quite unfortunate when you have some Nigerians passers-by who have no idea what this day is all about. Some may know, but may not have thought that today, 15 January, is the day that we honor these fallen heroes. But have you been able to speak to some of these people?
Well, the ones I've been able to speak to off camera, kept complaining about some certain irregularities, from the side of the government as to how veterans, Nigerian Army veterans or military personnel veterans are being treated by the country, in terms of quality health care, homes and the likes of them, even talking about pensions. So some of these issues were raised by passers-by who choose not to speak on camera, but were available to raise their concerns about how veterans are being treated in the country.
Of protests in different parts of the country by these veterans to protest some of the things they felt that the welfare is actually not up to scratch. Is there any organized demonstration or organized movement in and around the Eagle Square now concerning that by the veterans?
Well, as far as we know, there has not been any organized protest yet. We haven't seen any. As a matter of fact, the heavy security presence here would likely make that very impossible, as almost all the paramilitary and military outfits are stationed about 2 kilometers away from the Eagle Square. And, you know, even if any protest of such would take place, it will certainly be dismantled by security forces.
All right, so thank you very much there for that update, Chijioke. We will be coming back to get periodic updates from you out there in the field concerning the Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration. Chijioke Okafor there from the Eagle Square. All right, so it is quite sometimes disheartening when you look at it, that as Nigerians we're actually supposed to remember these people.
I mean, recall that earlier on we spoke and we saw how that, you know, just a few newspapers today
carry the story, exactly.
You know, something about Armed Forces Remembrance Day.
Exactly.
So totally you could see that it doesn't reflect the day, you know,
Exactly.
our social life doesn't really reflect the day and all of that.
We have moved on as a society.
What do you mean when you say we have moved on? I mean, are you saying that the armed forces do not deserve to be celebrated?
Nigeria has moved on. We've had coups. January 15th is also remembered by a lot of us as the day the Civil War ended. But we have moved on.
Yes, but the day is there to honor those who have served and who are still serving.
The army itself does not honor that day by the way they have become. We needed a Nigerian army. Do you have that now? An army that doesn't defend Nigerians when they need it, and people get killed like rats. We have moved on. We've seen a lot. That's why we've moved on.
Have we really moved on? Because if
yes.
let's talk about the
Today
democratic space in Nigeria.
As a democracy, we are looking for a way to coexist. That is actually where we are right now. And if we don't find a way to coexist, me and you know, we don't have the strength to hold the young. You can see the young in several parts of the country, all of them in turmoil. Right? Trouble in the north with the young. There are trouble among the Canaries with the north. There is trouble in Yoruba land amongst the north. There is trouble in Igbo land amongst the young. We have moved on.
Okay, if you say we've moved on, Mr. Katch Ononujo, it gives an impression as though we're being held down. You know, these are
we
people,
have been held down by...
excuse me,
yes.
There are military officers that have fought with their lives to ensure that the territorial integrity of the country is protected and the sovereignty of the country is protected. You know,
they are not
united
cared
and all
for
of that.
by the government. You had that report right now. They complain that the government don't look after them. No pensions paid to them. And look at the military pension people. That's exactly why I tell you it's not the very best. So how come we've not looked after these people?
So isn't a day like this an opportunity to remind those in power or those that can do something about the plight of these people?
If we were a nation, that is right. If we were a nation.
What are we then if we are not a
we're
nation?
A country. As Awolowo said, a geographical expression. To be nation, we need to all of us togetherly agree on a directional principle in regards to the formation of a state. We are not one today. A lot of people want Nigeria on their own terms.
Mainasara, maybe we should get your own perspectives. Has Nigeria moved on from the events of 15 January 1966?
You know, what brought about the 15th January 1966 too? I would like to lead you into history again. In 1957, there was House of Representatives election. The North got landslide seats. And that brought about a very serious fundamental problem. Because when independence was to be given to the Nigeria in 1957, the northern group said we were not ready, predicating it on inadequacy of literacy people that will shoulder the responsibility. We said we were not ready, and based on which we now got imported people that will come and run our schools, basically teaching 3 things.
All right. Just a minute before you continue. We'll take a short break, and then when we come back, you take up from where you stopped there. Please stay with us.
The Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria, REFAN, in collaboration with the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, will unveil world's largest rice pyramid in Abuja, Nigeria's capital. The event is scheduled to take place on the 18th of January 2022. Venue, Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Trade Fair Complex, Airport Road, Abuja. The pyramids will be unveiled by the special guest of honor and President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari. Other special guests that will support are the presidents of Benin Republic, Niger, Chad, and Cameroon, as well as the governors of Cross River, Ebonyi, Kebbi, Jigawa, Ekiti, and Sokoto states. Chairman of the occasion, CBN Governor Dr. Godwin Emefiele, Chief Host, FCT Minister. REFAN will also use the occasion to flag off its 2021-2022 dry season farming activities and celebrate the annual National Rice Festival. REFAN has been the major driver of rice value chain under the Anchor Borrowers program for the past 6 years. Come and join us in celebrating Rice Revolution in Nigeria. Let's celebrate our President Muhammadu Buhari's initiative on food security and self-sufficiency in rice. Let's celebrate the Central Bank Governor, Dr. Godwin Emefiele, REFAN, the driver of Rice Revolution in Nigeria. Announcer, Publicity Committee.
As the colors march on parade, may I please request senior officers, distinguished invited guests, to rise from their seats as a mark of honor to the colors while commissioned officers and branch officers in uniform are requested to salute. Rise while the color march on parade, while warrant officers and officers in uniform are to salute. Muna masu farin cikin sanar da jama'a isowar mai martaba sarkin Kano Alhaji Aminu Ado Bayero zuwa wannan muhimmin taro. Allah ya taimaki sarki. Muna barka da isowa a madadin 'yan kwamitin shirya wannan biki na tunawa da 'yan mazan jiya. unlike everything. We announce the arrival of His Royal Highness, the Emir of Kano, Alhaji Amina, to this very important event. Your Highness, you are welcome. Invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, any moment from now, our dignitaries will start arriving in this venue. Permit me at this point to most respectfully announce the arrival of the Commander, 3rd Brigade Nigerian Army, Brigadier General S. Nicodemus, the Commander, 455 17th Group, Nigerian Air Force, Kano, Air Commando S.I. Kamal, the Commander, Nigerian Naval Base, Kano, Navy Captain S.A. Alassad, and the Commissioner of
So those are live images coming in there from Kano. You can see the dignitaries there coming to the parade ground for the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. I think that's the Emir of Kano actually coming there as well. So it's in full swing, I think, in Kano as it is right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, while we continue to bring you updates from Kano, we'll continue our discussions here with our guest in the studio. We have public affairs analyst Katch Ononujo and senior lawyer Mainasara Umar, and here talking to us about whether or not Nigeria has moved on from the events of 1966, 15th January to be specific. Now, well, we've heard from Mr. Katch Ononujo. Mainasara, you were making a point, about whether or not we've been able to move on.
Yes, what I was trying to say is that from 1914 down to when we gained independence, the leaders of the various regions now established developmental blueprints for their regions and ultimately for the whole federation. These developmental blueprints were prepared based on the situation on ground now, the agrarian revolution, the activities of commerce, international trade, shipping, and other things. Something dramatically happened in 1959 when we discovered oil in commercial quantity. Now, we gained independence, and then immediately the whole vision and mission based on that blueprint got changed, because we got oil in commercial quantity, and to such an extent that we are one of the leading producers of oil in the world. And we were lucky immediately after independence, because of the Arab-Israeli crisis, the Arabians decided to boycott selling of their oil. So the attention turned to Nigeria's oil. We started getting money seriously.
Yeah, so
apart from the money,
but let's talk about 1966.
I'm coming to
the
it.
coup
No,
of
I'm
that
coming
1966.
to it. I'm coming to it.
I want you to talk to us about the implication of military juntas, on our democracy.
I'm coming to it. Then again, we became Republic 1963. Now the Constitution says that all the resources under your region belongs to you. Then you give residue to maintain the federation. And that brought about regional rivalries. At the end of it, it culminated into this military overthrow. And then the military coup turned out to be one-sided. And apart from being one-sided, the person that was the caretaker of the country, Nwafo Orizo, an Igbo man, handed over to another Igbo man again, Thompson Agui Ironsi. And that turned things into different spheres of suspicions and the rest. So basically, they wanted to do it as a revolution. Based on the reasons from this thing, they wanted to eradicate the nation from corruption, from ineptitude, from this. But from that time, we now saw the nation going towards national cohesion. Talking about developmental programs the military regime came with, the NYSC, for example, the change of the currency to our national currency, the issue of new national anthem, the creation of more states, 12 states then, as against the regional distinct. So many other things General Gowon brought about. Unfortunately, the money aspect of it brought about corruption and then tend to now infiltrate into the military. To such an extent, the military wanted, everyone wants to go into getting the power, because Gowon made blunder of making statement that our problem was not money, but how to spend the money. Was not how to generate the money, but how to spend the money. So at the end of it, without the military got itself involved in politics. And then when they got themselves involved in politics, we now saw military coup, counter coup, and the rest, and the rest, and the rest. Instead of us to take a lesson from the Civil War, during the Civil War, when you go to, is it Umuahia or Abakaliki, the War Museum there, when you see the sophisticated kind of armory there that was used during the war, it is a signal for Nigeria to develop Nigerian army, Nigerian military, with the best of mechanic resources, with the best of technical equipment, so that they will be able to match any distance. Unfortunately, now the situation in the Nigerian army or the military generally is very sorry. The totality of the military is not up to 500,000 for a population of 210 million Nigerians. And they have inferior weaponry over and above those enemies of the states that are fighting various forms of insurgencies within the country. We have inferiority in terms of weaponry. We have a limited number of the distinct. Number three, the fundamental role of securing the territory is with the police. Even the police is only 480-something thousand policemen, which is too inadequate as well. So the military are now drafted. Those people that are normally brought about when the situation reaches its highest level, you now draft them with poor motivation, with lack of equipment, with lack of machineries, with improper welfare. So it now exposes them into corruptions. And you see a military man taking 50 naira, taking 100 naira, even descending so low to be taking 20 naira. They are losing the respect, they are losing the discipline. Coupled again with another very serious problem brought about from 1980. This idea of bringing about, getting career progression by short service operations. Now we started seeing people, the moment you graduate, you just go straight ahead and become an officer without going through the rudiments. And then from there, they introduce the system whereby you sit in cool air conditioned room. They will now play a war video for you, and on the basis of which they will prepare theoretical examinations. When you pass it, you get elevation out to the level. Then you now see graduation of people that have never gone to bush becoming generals in the Nigerian army. You will see them, they have never participated in any war. Somebody who has never been into the bush, he never knows what it is to participate in that. And that is the reason why you will see them when they are now drafted to go and fight insurgency. They stay in the metropolitan center where there are nice hotels, where there are other things that they will need, instead of them going to confront the problem in the bush. They said that we have not been given the command. And that is the area my brother now is talking about, instead of them to serve the nation. You understand? They will say we have not been given the command. And it is really very, very disheartening, the kind of armed forces that we are receiving the best medals in the world, and that we have been sending to go and protect territorial integrities of other countries, are now the ones that are now facing civil civil militia, that are facing civil militia, yet they are the ones that are unable to even protect even the institutions of the military, talking about the Nigerian Army University, talking about the problem with the Nigerian Defense Academy, talking about the Nigerian Army School of Infantry, talking about all these things. They cannot even protect their own, talk less of protecting the civil populace.
So let me bring in Mr. Katch.
Yes.
We've made mention of, we have actually alluded to the fact that the military we have now is not the one we used to have. right?
Yes.
What went wrong?
When a fish goes bad, the rot starts from the head. Buhari went wrong.
So are you saying that the problem with the military started with this regime?
The problem in today's Nigeria with the military is that of Buhari. As my brother rightly tried to tell me, shouldn't they look at the president's body language? No. As he rightly says, their loyalty should be to the country, not the body language of a politician.
Yeah, but it still brings me back to my earlier statement that I made. They are not actually loyal to the person. They are actually loyal to the seat of the presidency. That's the office of the president.
No. The office of the president is a command and control center, just as he said.
But the office of the president is the creation of the constitution, isn't it?
The office of the president is a creation, or is an additional creation. What the army follows is the military role. The military role swears its allegiance to the constitution, not the president. So whoever becomes president also plays a role of commander-in-chief. You are blind to the name of the president. What you are not blind to is the constitution.
So what is
expected? You don't need the president to tell you that a military aircraft has been shot down in Zamfara for you to react. You don't need the president to tell you that a soldier has been kidnapped in Jaji for you to react. You don't need the president to tell you that the military university has been attacked for you to react. You swear your oath to the constitution. It was when President Buhari brought his nepotism style of government and everything went wrong. I will still say it. Buhari destroyed his legacy.
But we are talking about, we are talking about Nigeria from decades back. We are talking, we are talking more than 6 decades. I mean, from the events of 1966, January 15, 1966.
You're talking about
that's why we're having Armed Forces Remembrance Day.
You just played to me a video in which somebody said that veterans are complaining of not being looked after. You talk about the living in relation to the history of the living to the dead. The decade back is the past. Buhari is actually a product of that same military. Now, what we're saying is, why is he not looking after the military? Why is it under him that the military has gone so bad?
I mean, there are a lot of
as my brother said, they'll get gold medals from services in Liberia, in Sierra Leone.
Mr. Katch,
suddenly,
Mr. Katch, before President Buhari,
yes,
we've had a military.
Yes.
We have several administrations.
A military you couldn't mess with. Remember Obasanjo
and even before the president, even before the current president, we've had conflict. The Boko Haram issue that we're dealing with at the moment started way back from somewhere around 2010,
and 2010.
And we had the military at the time.
And they were dealing with it very well.
The same issue festered until the current administration came into office. So we've been dealing with this for quite a while, really, you know, if we look at it. So if we're tracing the issues to why we are where we are today, we want to talk about the military juntas that we have had and their implication on the running of governance in Nigeria. Whether
Look
or not that has an implication.
I want to start from today. Listen to me. I want to start from today. You're talking about the past. If you touch soldiers under Obasanjo, he will come brace down the village. Under Buhari, kill soldiers, you're free. Shoot down military aircraft, you're free. Obasanjo won't take that. You saw what happened in Odi. You saw what happened in Zakibia. Under Buhari, kill soldiers, it's free. As my brother says, they need to get instruction from politicians before they can save soldiers.
I mean, this is a country guided by laws. We have laws.
No, the law is if you kill an army, the soldier strikes back. He doesn't ask for permission to revenge. Those are modes of engagement.
Is that simple? Is it that simple?
That is a law.
We have rules of engagement for military on the field.
There is no law that says a soldier should stand if other soldiers are being killed. It doesn't exist.
In 1983, something happened with the same President Buhari.
Yes.
He was then the GOC of 3 Armored Division Jos. When the gendarmes of Cameroon encroached into the Nigerian district, he didn't wait for President.
He didn't ask for political instruction.
He went
into field straight ahead.
That is professionalism.
Why should it be different now? and our soldiers have been killed.
So from what you are saying is
our military aircrafts are shut down in Zamfara, nothing happens.
So what you are saying is that the president, being a commander-in-chief of armed forces, I mean, being a retired general, is one of the reasons why many Nigerians thought that he was fit, you know, to take on that office, given the current situation that we are dealing with.
Let me come in here. What my brother is saying is, he is analyzing it from the professional angle. You have chief of army staff. Yes. You have chief of defense staff. You understand? You are at the peak of the commanding authority under your particular jurisdiction. You understand? Where these type of things are happening, are you to wait for somebody who is there sitting in?
No, you don't.
To be, you are not supposed to wait.
But what does the Constitution say about that?
The position of the Constitution is that they are to be allegiant to the nation.
That's it.
They are to be allegiant to protect the nation.
To the Constitution, to the country.
They are periodically to be reporting to him, to the commander.
Whoever comes
and remember
goes
one thing.
out.
Remember one word that President Buhari has consistently begun. He has been charging them, end this thing, end this thing, end this thing. The strategies to end lies with the commanding
officers in the field.
The commanding officers. So where the commanding officers have failed, it is incumbent on the president to give them ultimatum, or if they fail, you sack them and replace them with competent ones that are ready to protect and defend every inch of the territory of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as per the oath of office, as per the sanction given by the Constitution.
So if you are talking about giving orders and, you know, commands by the president, we've heard on national TV sometime in past where the president said anyone illegally carrying AK-47 rifle should be shoot aside.
No, the president was not sincere. Let me help you. Don't get confused. This crisis came through the Malian crisis. Okay? Governor Ganduje said, don't let them come into Nigeria with their guns. Buhari allowed them to come into Nigeria with their guns, and as they get into the bush with their guns, the gun is like an aphrodisiac. What did they do? They start doing kidnapping. They start doing banditry. He wouldn't stop them. They make money. They buy all sorts of things in Nigeria. They go and spend in Bamako, in Mali. A lot of them are met. They don't speak Hausa. They don't speak English. They speak Bambara and French. Buhari knew these are not Nigerians. Why did he allow them to become a militia that were killing Nigerians? I myself visited Basari, Dutima, Kankara, the Musa, Maru, Anka,
Katch. Mr. Katch,
why didn't Buhari allow the military to deal with these outside forces? Why did he tie their hands? Now we are talking about nobody celebrating. There's nothing to celebrate under Buhari.
No, that one is a laxity of the commanding forces, not that of Buhari.
How can they celebrate when they know the man at the head don't want the soldiers to
But that's the thing. That's what I want to ask.
That is exactly why nobody celebrates.
The question I want to ask right now is, the point you're making is that the military should not wait for the orders of the president before they do something about it.
If a soldier is killed, he doesn't wait for a politician's order to revenge that killing.
But that is the thing.
If a soldier's military jet, like was done, the Alpha jet shot down in Zamfara, he don't wait for politicians to give instructions to strike at the enemy.
But has the president told them to stand down?
Well, you heard what it is. They had to come to court with some Magajoro game to even force the president to admit these people terrorizing Nigeria should be called terrorists. Don't you understand what's going on? It is not that they are not capable. It is the intercession and intervention of politicians, and in this case, President Buhari's body language, that's what you call it, that made our army to be this down. So why should they celebrate? Why you be surprised that nobody's celebrating?
But to be fair to the president, he has been giving them the marching order.
Rhetorically.
No, he doesn't have the commanding force of the weaponry.
Okay.
It is the service chief that should now implement the marching order. That is it.
Okay, well, we'll come back to that, these discussions. But for now, let's link up with our correspondent at the Eagle Square, Chijioke Okafor, to have a sense of what's the update at the moment. Okay, we're connecting with the national television to have a proper picture of what's going on really there. Now, while we do that, the parade is ongoing. I would like for you to, this issue about whether or not the president gave the marching orders or not. Why do you think that we have this missing link? Is it that the troops or the soldiers are not motivated enough to, take on initiatives and do the needful when they ought to do so? Or is it a problem of corruption? Where is the missing link?
The corruption is that of the presidency. The presidency got corrupted with a president who was not thinking in terms of being president and father of all. He was disturbed and undermined by his consideration that those who were undermining the army were people linked to his tribe. So that's nepotism. Buhari allowed nepotism in a weaponized form to undermine his presidency.
These are allegations. I mean, how can you prove this? How can you prove that the president
maybe you just come back from Ghana, you don't live in Nigeria. One hallmark that have undermined Buhari's presidency is weaponized nepotism. The exclusion of large sections of society due to the fact that you don't consider them as one of yours.
Well, we just made, a point was just made right now that the president does not have the command of the weaponry. He's not the one that goes out to go and shoot these people. And we have heard, he has said countless times, go out and end this. Shouldn't we be looking at the service chiefs now, who are the ones who are supposed to implement the directives of the president and not the president himself?
I personally spoke to service chiefs and generals, and they told me if the president gave them a go-ahead, they would end the crisis in 4 weeks. I said, how? He said, first 2 weeks they would say, nobody stays in the bush with gun. They will allow everybody with a gun to submit it as a given point. After that, they will send drones up, and whoever they see, they'll bring down. But because the presidency was busy using simplistic words to confuse the army from engaging with the terrorists that we have finally now said are terrorists, that yesterday attacked the army university in Biu, and as my friend said, the infantry place too. Why should we allow this to go on?
Mainasara wants to...
yes, no, it is the nepotism aspect he talked about I want to disagree with. Because he said that these people are not Nigerians.
They are not.
That they are, do you mean Buhari is not a Nigerian? Or he is a Barbara? Was it Barbara or what did he say?
They speak Bambara.
He said they speak Bambara, they are from this. Buhari is Fulani. So they are not Fulanis. You are saying, but you said they are Bambaras from Mali.
They are Fulani who speak Bambara from Mali.
So they are not Buhari's.
I am aware of why they came here. Yeah. There was a peace agreement in 2015. There was a crisis in central Mali between the Govt and the Fulani. So the problem we had, as I said earlier, was the president did not treat the issue the way it should be. It's actually a refugee crisis. No, but he was masking it as if it was an agricultural issue, asking us for land, grazing reserve to resettle the same refugees. Most of us, including me, advised him, Your Excellency, we've had this problem before in 1974 when Israel invaded East Lebanon. We camped Lebanese refugees in Kano and in Apapa in Lagos. Let us treat this the way it should be. No, he was masking and trying to treat it as if it was an agricultural issue. As I'm talking to you today, we don't have land for them. Finally, Sheikh Gumi is begging us for land for them. But if they are Nigerians, why will Gumi beg for land?
These problems, let me straighten it. Let me tell you what.
If they are Nigerians, why is Gumi begging for land?
Let me tell you what the problems are. There are about 3 to 5 problems. The number one problem is weak machinery for adjudication of justice. When you take section 213 down to 304 of the Constitution, it gives you the power of the courts to make determinations. There are so many times you discover trailer loads, container loads with guns, with ammunition. So many people arrested and then displayed on the media that these are informants, these are this, these are this, these are this, we have this. How many of those people did you ever see penalized? How many did you ever see being prosecuted? So the judicature side has a problem. We have problem of weak administration of justice. And this one is one of the problems in that. The number two has to do with the degree of poverty. Poverty, illiteracy, and lack of social enlightenment. So many people, especially in the northwestern part and even the northeastern part, get recruited into the membership of these bandits as a result of poverty, as a result of unemployment, as a result of hunger and redundancy. And the government has not been able to do anything on that. Rather, the social intervention program they are bringing has a very huge gap between the paradox and the reality of the situation, reality of what the citizen demands. Number three, the totality of the members of the armed forces. For example, take the police. 435,000 policemen, for example. Half of them are securing VIPs and their wives. Half of them are there securing multinational corporation buildings and important governmental buildings. The remaining half that are not up to 100,000, half of it will be the ones navigating road traffics. And then the remaining ones are the ones in the police station. So where are the ones that can be drafted into the bushes? Virtually no. Apart from that, there's serious corruption. From the inception of this government, the president has signed disbursements of money more than any other government from independence to date. We have procured so many of these things theoretically. For example, the other time, I think 2 years back, the president launched commissioning of drones in Kaduna. Work were shot. So many governors were there. They launched the drones. They said this one will not require any human being to be inside. That this is something that can clear every 200 kilometers within 5 minutes. These are the things that it has some gaseous emissions that if it emits the gas, every little thing there will be in coma, so that you will go there and catch them. And then when you bring them into the DC, at the end when they recover, you now sieve the terrorists from the captives. You know, all those rosy things were said. Recently, some serious billions were spent on purchase of Tokano or Tokapo. What do they call it? Tokano. So many of those things we have had, so many of those things, but there is no mechanism to really audit and be sure that those monies that have been disbursed for A, is there really A on ground? Do they really have it on ground? By the time you now go into the in-depth of it, you will discover that the bandits have superiority of weaponry over and above.
Yes, but you know, if you look at it, the president has to use institutions.
Yes, that is what operate. I'm saying. He has given out the money, he has given out all the requirements.
So which is why we have, say, for instance,
and he has given them command, end this thing.
Yes, we have a body, say, like the National Assembly, for instance,
who is supposed to,
who is supposed to play the oversight function.
We have the Nigerian army.
We are talking about
who doesn't need any legislation to do their job. All they needed was to go ahead to do their job.
Okay, now
why did we allow
Mr. Katch,
the foreign terrorists to overwhelm Nigeria? Nigerian army did nothing.
Mr. Katch, the National Assembly's role is not just restricted to legislation. Excuse me. There's the issue, the role of oversight function that they are supposed to play on government institutions, which is why we have parliamentary committees, isn't it? We have committees on this, we have house committees on that. So who is supposed to make sure that all those budgetary allocations go to
report the National Assembly has brought out? There is no implementation.
What I'm telling you is very simple thing. You don't need National Assembly.
Excuse me. Mr. Mainasara raised an issue about making sure that all the money is budgeted.
Yes, exactly.
For what is budgeted goes to the right source, isn't it? And I said that this is why we have the National Assembly that plays the oversight function to make sure that the budgetary allocation is properly implemented.
Exactly.
Isn't it? Exactly. So who is it the Buhari that is supposed to do that now?
Buratai got so much money, we couldn't see the money. Buratai left and they were asking for equipment, and the man who was asking for equipment suddenly died. So that I don't want to talk about. What you ask yourself, what did the army do when they had intelligence that we had foreigners killing Nigerians.
Not only the army. For example, now, these bandits,
Sheikh
they
Gumi
use
ended
phone,
up begging
they
us
use
that
phone to negotiate ransom that will be given to them.
And yet,
If
there
your
was
telephone is stolen,
NIN.
if your telephone is stolen within 2 hours, if you can give the money,
Yes,
they will trace where it is.
All right.
So,
all right, gentlemen.
and then we have nice comsat. We have satellites.
Okay, gentlemen, please. Now, agreed. We have all of these challenges, right? With our policy, with our structure, corruption, and even politicians. Yes, agreed. But we need a military, and we need a motivated military. How can we motivate our troops? How can we motivate our personnel to defend the territorial integrity of this country?
I told you before, when a fish rots, it starts from the head. We need to elect the right leadership. Not leadership like Buhari that will damage the military. Buhari had demoralized the military. As I'm telling you now, you can see nobody celebrating. What to celebrate? Buhari has destroyed it. How come foreigners come to our country, kill us and nothing happened? Sheikh Gumi now told us if we want peace, we should give them land. If they are Nigerians, where are they from? Why are they begging for land?
You seem to be fixated on the
I have to fixate myself on the word. Yes, of course. I care about security. We're talking about army. Army is about security. And that's why I'm calling this. So why did they stand? To the extent Sheikh Gumi started begging us for land. If they are Nigerians, why is he begging us for land? Where is their local government? Why don't they have land there?
Okay.
Yes. The solution to these problems, when you take section 153, K, L, and M, we have the National Defense Council, we have the National Security Council, and we have the Nigerian Police Council. Now, these three councils are the ones that are working out. They need to sit down and rejig the security architecture of the country. For example, all the advanced countries, the police is at the apex. There's something in tandem with sections 214 to 216 of the Constitution. The police is the apex. Therefore, restructure the police. Restructure the police in such a way that they should really have the capacity to handle internal problems. The military should be left only when there is war or protection of territorial borders. The military should be left with their own mandate like that. Then under the distance, in the United States of America, the customs is under the police. The immigration is under the police. You have cyber crimes police. You have airports police. You have anti-terrorism police. You have all these things to restructure our police system in such a way that you have all these, for example, and the custom in Nigeria, where our interest is just to generate revenue. Immigration to issue passports. Those are not the distance. The security aspect of the services should be there under the commanding of the Inspector General of Police. And then, apart from that, try to investigate. Why is it that when the president said recruit 10,000 policemen, it became difficult? Because of corruption. Flush out whosoever has hand in it, because Nigeria needs nothing less than 5 million policemen. 5 million military men. We have a population of 210 million Nigeria. We have over 10,000 porous borders across the district. And apart from that, mark you, we have created one problem. You cannot have peace and security where your neighbor is not secured. We decided to close borders with our neighbors. These our neighbors, all of them are Francophone-speaking countries. And apart from being Francophone-speaking countries, their own source of money is normally importation of things into Nigeria. We now block the borders. We are creating animosity against them. Try to build good congeniality. Okay. For example, if you take Cameroon, Cameroon is a corridor through the Sambisa forest that will take you to Central African Republic, that will take you to, what do you call it, Kenya, Somalia, all those countries where Al-Shabaab is having its field day. If you take Chad, for example, from Chad you get to Sudan, from Sudan you get to Libya, from Libya you get to countries in the Maghreb who have the residue of those Arab Spring weaponry, who have the residue of the civil war in Sudan, who have the residue of the crisis and the war in Libya. Through there, they easily come in. Take Niger, for example. It is even a double-edged sword. Number one, it is the confluence under which you will have all the countries in the Sahel region. And from there, they can connive with this Niger Republic and infiltrate attacks against Nigeria. And from there, it is a very easy road for you to go from there to Burkina Faso, to Mali, to Gambia, to Senegal, to Sierra Leone, all those countries where Islam in West Africa forces are there.
Right.
So by the time you now take into this and you know that they are Francophone-speaking countries, try to establish synergy with them, try to have good neighborhood police, so that these people will assist in being fellow brothers keepers, and that would yes.
Well, thank you so much. Well, we would be taking live feeds as well from Kano, where we have Idris Jibrin standing by. Hello, Idris.
Yeah, Ayuba, like you can see,
we'll get more
governor of
updates
Kano
later
State,
from
Abdullahi Ganduje, has
Idris
just
Jibrin.
arrived the
For now, let's take a quick
this,
breather.
Armed Forces
and then when we come
Remembrance
back, we'll
Day,
continue
and he
the
has
show. Please
already
stay with us.
reviewed the parade that is going on here at the site of the Armed Forces Remembrance Day.
May I, this governor, humbly request our distinguished invited guests to please rise in honor of our fallen heroes during this segment of the parade.
So any moment from now, the governor would carry out the wreath laying and then release the pigeons, and thereafter he has already reviewed the parade.
The last post is this car march sounded at the end of the military tunnel. As the going sound, all expected to see an occasion, while some of the other start to perform on the loop. The Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration is an annual ceremony dedicated to show synergy and repose of the souls of the dead heroes, and also to pray for the comfort of the family and the descendants. While the entire party marching to take the position, we are simply respectfully invite the following citizens to join the meeting offer for this day. The Executive Governor of State that will be the commander of the Nigerian Army, the commander of 455 Base of Peace and Land Efforts, the commander of Nigerian Baku Kanu, Commissioner of Police, Kano State, the Speaker, Kano State House of Assembly, the Chief Judge, Kano State, the Royal Highness, the Emir of Kano, former Nigeria Legion, Kano State Chapter, Director, Department of State Islamic Controller, Nigerian Correctional Service, Kano Command, the Commandant, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Kano State Command. They are also request that movements are called at people to perform the relief lane. Please, if you are not part of people in the relief lane, please, you can take your seat under the canopy. Thank you very much.
Any moment from now, the governor and other invited guests will perform the wreath laying as traditionally being observed annually stay here in Kano. You can see the parade officers are marching onto the ground where the governor will now commence the wreath laying, and then subsequently the release of the pigeon. Earlier, the governor has reviewed the parade, and all other dignitaries have taken their space. Note that
you cannot move, please go back to your property. Thank you.
I think so, but you can still move.
Once again, we have most respectfully invite His Royal Highness the Emir of Kano to join other dignitaries in the Link Lane. May I also invite the fisherman, President of the Army, to the exposition to bring us to the meeting here. In the name of Allah, the Lord makes love, the Lord mercy. Oh Allah, King of all kings, Lord of the entire universe and the Almighty, thank you for providing us with your gifts in my
address. May I have your grant and your combatant permission to gather with the troops, sir?
Their function so that in their offices as leaders, they will lead this country, Nigeria, to a greater height, and it will go well for all of us, living in peace and harmony. We ask it through Christ our Lord. We now observe a minute silence for the departed heroes. The souls of our departed heroes continue to rest in peace. Amen. Thank you very much, sir. Very serious good to go to my presence. Thank you at this point to attend to the government of the community event, which will be with your ceremony. Permit me to look respectfully request the return officer for today's parade, His Excellency the Executive Governor of County, Dr. Umar County, to please lead the meeting.
Abdul, za ka iya dawowa ofis za ka iya dawowa Then, you have to come back.
Base 13 Airport, Kano, Commander Nigerian Naval Base, Kano, and the Commissioner of Police, Kano State Command.
Well, there you have it. Live feeds from the nation's capital and also from Kano, where the Armed Forces Remembrance Day is being commemorated. We saw the governor of Kano State there laid a wreath alongside other senior top military personnel there. We await that of the president on the show. But before then, let's take concluding thoughts, from our guest here in the studio. We have Katch Ononujo, who is a public affairs analyst, and also Mainasara Umar, senior lawyer and also public affairs commentator. Now, we've been talking about the significance of this day today. Now, how can we, I think, like I've asked this question for the upteenth time, we're all about how to strengthen institutions in Nigeria. How can we encourage the military? We have heard, yes, about those who have retired that are still talking about, some of their benefits that are yet to be paid. We have those in service who, from time to time, we hear complaints about how they lack equipment, their welfare is not taken care of seriously. And we're looking at also, how will this, have an implication on those younger ones who are hearing these stories, who are, probably nursing the idea of joining the military and all of that, So how can we have a better system?
One way, see it as Nigerian army that belongs to all Nigerians. Don't allow nepotism to allow you to destroy it. 2 days ago, Frank Mba, the DPRO, the police PRO, said that Southerners were not joining the police, probably because of the nepotism that's been institutionalized in it during the Buhari administration. So what I say, treat the institutions as Nigerian institutions. Don't allow nepotism to undermine them. If you do, the price you pay later on will be so frightening, as we're currently seeing across the country, across institutions and parastatals. So I don't want to blame the army for the problems that they've come under. I blame the politician, and in this case, I blame it at the foot of President Buhari. He is the one that has allowed the army to become a laughingstock. No celebration, nobody cares. Maybe me and you, as we've been here, I thought you should have gone to Kaduna, where we have army headquarters.
We have someone on standby, and
so
we're expecting.
We should have had that so that we can see how the army is by filling Kaduna.
All right, thank you so much.
I pray politicians wake up to the demands of embracing the nation.
All right, thank you.
Not their ethnicities.
All right, so let's get concluding thoughts from Mainasara. What are your thoughts about all that we've talked about?
Well, the military should be focused and should dedicate themselves to their professionalism. The military should, as much as possible, divorce themselves away from politics. The military should, as much as possible, be looking for good name, not for good money. Avoid corruption. Get away from all this madness that is unprofessional, looking for money. The military has no business in contracts regarding arms and ammunition. They try to clean your name by winning medal in throwing away all these vestiges of terrorism that we are witnessing in the country, in all parts of the country. It is your responsibility to restore your name. Your name is diminishing. Restore it in gold by rededicating yourself to professionalism. The government too should be up and doing. Government is weak when it comes to issue of penalty on wrongdoers. Penalty on wrongdoers. Criminalities is going on every day. Nobody is being penalized. Armed and ammunitions are being intercepted by the day. We have not seen any legal sanction imposed on anybody. Criminals are being arrested. Bandits are being arrested. Informers are being arrested. We don't see them being prosecuted in courts. Everybody is doing whatever. So the government should be up and doing. The legal profession should be up and doing. The judiciary under sections 213 to 304 should be up and doing. And then the president, you are the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, and you are the chief executive officer of the Federation of Nigeria under section 130 of the Constitution. It is your responsibility. Anybody that is not competent, you flush him out.
Okay.
irrespective of whatever affiliation he may have with you or your political party.
Exactly.
All right, well, thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on the program today. It's been quite insightful talking to you here. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Well, with that, we wrap up Daybreak for today.
Very special
An extended edition of the Daybreak show today.
It's a good one.